Hello and welcome to another Agent is In, episode 37, I believe. Today we're going to talk about some Windows package management. Craig's been playing around, so looking forward to this.
Yeah. Um, my voice is a little raspy today because I went and recorded my post-punk rock band last night, and I'm the singer. But I think it's recovered enough with some tea to speak enough. Package management. By
Oh,
default, oh, what?
well,
Yeah.
maybe we could start off and just talk about Windows package management,
Okay.
just kind of
Well,
as a bigger topic.
right. So I'm sure everyone is aware that we have uh, a promise type called packages, of course. And we also have this deprecated packages, which is so this is a
Classic.
package module, and these are package methods. Um, and you can promise packages to be present, removed, et cetera, et cetera. You can specify versions, things like that. Um, and in master files, our policy framework, we have some vendored uh, package modules. So we have APK, apt-get, various things. We also have this MSI exec, which installs MSI files and inventories, programs, and such that are installed. Uh, those are kind of like two related things: is the software inventory and the package management with package promises. Um, so we have that built in, and then put it in Windows. I mean, there's a lot of package managers. Um, it's not like Red Hat. You can type RPM, yum, DNF, but it's really just the same thing. It's really just one package manager. But in Windows, and I'm not the most experienced Windows person by any means, but I do like using as many different operating systems as possible. Um, so we have this MSI exec, but MSI exec doesn't give us any kind of things to pull down from the internet, so to speak. So I looked at let's see, Windows package winget is one package management system. Um, you need to on my computer anyway. I'm running Windows 10 because I have a MacBook Pro. Um, like I have to install some stuff, but in Windows 11, I think it's just default. Yeah, so it's available in Windows 11, and so there's this app installer I had to install in order to get it on my computer because it's kind of a older thing. Um, and with this, you can, um, as an administrator, or even as not an administrator, actually, I think, you can say winget search, and oh, mine doesn't because it's older. Oops. But you can winget install stuff like, well, you can search for a thing. In newer versions of winget, I think, or Windows, you can get a list of everything that's out there that's possible. But in mine, you can't. So I can say search putty. And so, okay, so these are all the different putties I could install. Their documentation says use this ID for things.
How would I know
So
to install XPFNZKSKLBP7RJ?
exactly. That's my point. Exactly. Like I was looking at this and I'm like, I don't know. Like you can do filters to say like only use the winget source versus the MS store. But yeah, they recommend using the ID, and with CFEngine as is, and I worked on fixing this, like you can't really have a package name with a space in it. Just, I mean, it just doesn't happen really in the Linux world, and that's kind of where we come from. And we also don't really work with winget yet. Um, and I did manage to fix some C code so that we can have package names with spaces and we can install them and check them and all this kind of stuff. Um, but for this demo, I'm just going to use the IDs, which are, as you noticed, not pretty. Like, how would you know to use this for, I don't know, for various things? I suppose some of these things you wouldn't really ever install. They're just things that are installed. And that's one of the aspects of these different package management systems that I found for Windows that is, unique, or it's a differentiator, right? So like if you use Chocolatey or Scoop, um, then they don't have the things that are installed outside of their realm, outside of their control. Now, Chocolatey, you can actually get a licensed version and get that integration so that it syncs up what's in programs and features into the Choco list, right? So yeah, so I'm going to talk about 4 or 5 different Windows package managers actually today. But the first one I'm going to show, so that's like a big differentiator, is can it show you what's already installed? So Choco can't without a licensed version. Scoop doesn't do it
Is there
either.
what about like MSI? Like, like we talked about MSIs, we've got that by default. Like,
Yeah. So the thing that
yeah,
we use is this WMIC query. So this is what we do to with our built-in. So built-in by default, we this is actually looking for putty, but we can do just everything. And this is how we get our inventory. And I'll show that just kind of right away, just so that people know like kind of baseline what comes with CFEngine Enterprise. And yeah, so there's like lots of software. And if we go over to my mission portal, this is on this desktop Windows box that I'm on right now. And we've got, all these 133 packages that have been uh, inventoried, and we can see, have visibility on them and everything. These are not things that I installed with Winget or any package manager. These are just things that, like I installed this, I downloaded Arduino IDE, or, downloaded a game called Thumper, which is amazing. Stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of the default what you get out of the box with CFEngine Enterprise. So what I was interested in is getting the ability to pull down more things in different ways. So let's anything else that you want to
yeah.
say, Nick?
I'm sure I'll interrupt you some more.
Okay, great. So I thought it would be funny to start off the policy with which package do you want to install today, which reminds me of where do you want to go today, from the old Windows slogan that they apparently spent lots of money on. Like I was kind of shocked at how much money they spent on that campaign, like 100 million. Wow. But it was kind of a cool slogan. So our built-in stuff, you can install something, and I've already downloaded this PuTTY 64-bit MSI file. You can see this here, MSI. And I've got this constant sep stuff in here to make it easier to put backslashes. So policy present, package module is MSI exec. And if I go over to packages CF, I'm going to check this as some of the other examples. I need to disable this platform default package manager so that things kind of work better and the logging looks better and stuff like that. But for now, we'll just stick with this. So I'll go back over to here, and I made this little, I always like to make I scripts, like iterate, do things that I'm going to do over and over. So I guess here I do an i.bat, so that's fun. Instead of just I on Linux or something. So here so because I'm switching the package manager I'm doing, and that influences what packages are installed in the view of the system and promises and stuff like this, I delete the databases essentially every time because I'm switching between things. And then I'm just going to run the agent with the inform, and I'm only going to run this one policy, which is the npf main. And so let's see if it works. Hold my beer. Oh, I didn't check to see if PuTTY is installed already. Yeah, so there's some erroneous messages that I'm going to remove. I think I added these messages actually, so they're kind of inappropriate, but I was trying to make it more clear what's happening when we decide whether we're going to use this packages modules or package method, which is that deprecated version of things. So I think at this point, I should have putty installed. Yeah, so putty's installed. So I can run putty, which I'm not really sure why anybody would install putty because SSH is just built in. But I suppose maybe if you're going to do a bunch of serial port stuff, which I was because I was working on an Arduino project. So that's why I thought of putty. And maybe, some people like the UI. That'd be cool. Okay, so we installed putty. Cool. And then I think we just did this WMIC command previously that was looking for putty and it would not have found it. And now it will. And this is for any non-Windows users, this is grep right here, select string. So yeah, it's there. Now, the tricky part about MSI exec that's not awesome is that in order to remove it, we can't we need to use this funny name that happened to be in there. So we can come in and enable that policy and run it. And Nick, I don't know, like, are there other ways to uninstall an MSI that we install with this MSI exec package module?
I think that you have to do it by name. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
My explorations in Windows package management have just been full of thorns, and like the information about what is installed on the system and what version, like, seems to be in so many different potential places in the system.
right,
And
exactly. So here
so
you see, I'm trying to run putty, and this is my test to see if it's installed. If it's start menu search, and it just like, it's like, oh yeah, it does. It's not there. Previously, it was there, and I did the WMIC list of things, and it's not there anymore. So that's what we have built in. So it's a bit clunky in terms of this kind of disparity between, you specify an MSI file and then you have to specify a totally different thing. You can't just change this to absent. That doesn't work. So you got to specify this special name. And that's actually a kind of a pattern in Windows package management, as far as I can tell, where the names are pretty squirrely. Like, if I'm using this winget method, I have to give it an ID, which has to be this. Otherwise, it complains that I haven't been specific enough. And there's some options to the command that installs where you can say version and things like that, but they just recommend using the ID. So that's what I did. So we're going to get over into the winget land now. And so putty is not installed. So if I do winget list, it's a really big list. And then I'll do convert to CSV. Oh, that doesn't work. I forgot. In order to get the good objects and stuff, you have to do so there's a PowerShell module that gives you the ability to do similar things to winget, but in the more nice object resulting commands, so you can pipe through different functions. So here, yeah, so now I've got that stuff. And then since that's a string now, I can select string putty, and it should by default just do a case insensitive search. And actually, why don't we go ahead and install it again with our MSI exec? So, and then I'll just show how the winget understands what's installed in general, which is really very useful, very important actually. So now I should be able to do this. And I think, yeah, so now it's installed. Cool. And you notice, like, I installed it from the MSI, and yet it came back here as the
as
ID.
the ID
So interesting. Like, I
comes
didn't
back.
even test that. That's really curious. So that's kind of encouraging, maybe. I suppose we can check the WMIC command. And if it says the same thing, Yeah. Okay. So it's that. So we could actually come over here and use winget to delete it. Now, you notice I have this package method winget. That's not something that we have built into master files yet. So I've written it here. And the reason I like this deprecated packages style is because it requires very little work and it's fairly direct in what you're doing. So there's attributes to a package method. Um, and they're basically, so like package changes bulk means that if you uh, put a bunch of package promises all over the place or whatever, many packages, it'll coalesce them into one transaction, which is really nice. It's a little more efficient. It kind of cuts down on the logs and stuff like that for you to try to figure out what's going on. We've got a couple of name convention and delete convention, what's installed regex, and then a couple other regex for name and version. These regexes operate on the output of this package list command. So I had to get kind of fancy with this to get the output so that I could parse it with a regex. So I do get winget package. I select things because this pipeline is like objects. It's not standard out. It's not text. It's a fully formed like object-oriented output. And so I select the ID in the installed version and I convert it to CSV. And what that allows me to do is to then grab the first quoted thing, right? So the beginning of the line quotes, capture the not quoted stuff, and then up to the comma. So this does mean that, if for some reason the package name had a comma in it, this would blow up. I don't think that's going to happen, but I mean, I think it was free BSD has commas in the version string. So like sometimes, so that was something that can break. So it's a little feeble, but I don't think it probably will happen. But this is just kind of a initial stab at things. And then the version is just the next one. So I grab things up to the comma and then the quoted thing. And then, so really all I have to do to manage packages here is make an add command, a delete command, and a list command. So it's pretty obvious, install and uninstall. So these are PowerShell modules, and I had to do some commands to install them, but I didn't include that in the policy. So let's see if this works. Again, hold my beer. So it's installed right now? Yeah, it's installed right now, buddy. Yeah, it's installed. Okay, so let's try to remove it with the winget package method. Cool. It's deleting it. Amazing. Putty is not installed. Okay, cool. And so certainly one advantage to this winget over MSI exec is that we're now able to pull stuff down off the internet in a trusted environment, let's say, kind of like you would expect with like a Debian or Red Hat or something like that. Like you kind of trust it. There's a chain of trust there for the default repositories. And it's the same thing. It's not really nice. It's an ID, not a thing. And then, like, as we saw, some of them are like GUIDs. So that's not very obvious what a GUID is. But we can add it back in by changing that package policy. Or did I just install it? Oh,
You
it
just
deleted it.
uninstall it,
Okay,
right?
right. Okay, yeah. So then I'll just run the policy again. And yeah, so there it is. It's installing it. Cool. So that works. And again, like Chocolatey, if you have a licensed version, it would be able to tell me that all these things are installed, but I don't have the licensed version. Scoop is another one. Scoop is kind of like Brew, where it installs things locally to your user account. So it's even different than Chocolatey. So that's another differentiator. MSI exec obviously installs MSI files. Those go in the normal place, like program files, that kind of stuff. Winget does the same thing. You can, with some hacks, install software for all users uh with the with winget, but it's not really designed for that. So that's a bit of a shortcoming.
Winget installs for users, not for the
It
system?
it it installs for the user that's using it. It's not really a system admin kind of tool in a way. Like it certainly provides automation. That's the way I understand it, and maybe somebody else knows better, but that's the way I understand it. So there's kind of a limitation there in terms of the like ubiquitous usefulness of winget for more like system admin kind of stuff. So I could be wrong. So feel free to correct me. But
And then you said Scoop or Chocolatey installs to the system.
Chocolate installs the same as like an MSI. It installs with an installer. Scoop is more like Brew, where it pulls things in and puts it in a local user directory and it kind of uses it from there. So it requires no admin privileges, right? So like all these things that are running, you can see here that PowerShell is administrator. Even my visual editor is administrator, so that I can write into the files inside of the program files CFEngine business. Uh, you see here, like I'm in program files CFEngine, so I had to be administrator in order to work with these files easily. Uh, so, so that's another differentiator is that MSI exec, Chocolatey, winget all require administrative privileges in order to install, uh, even to be able to install like for all users or something like that. But I think you can use winget and Chocolatey as a regular user, but you'll get that like that shield, it says, hey, got to get admin privileges when you do it. So that's the difference. So I think that's winget. So we can try Chocolatey. Um, so again, I made a package method called Choco. And down here, this one is actually a little easier because I don't have to use PowerShell. I could just use commands. So it looks a little nicer. Choco install, yes, forces the, yes, no prompts. And then Choco uninstall, yes, force dependencies. The reason I added force dependencies here is because I was working with Putty, and Putty actually ends up being like it's like a meta package. And in order to get the other package deleted fully, you have to force the dependencies to be deleted and then
Is that
Choco
an
list.
artifact of the Choco installer, or is that just normal for all the Putty installs?
No, it's very much just Putty, like you'll see
Any
later.
binary you can run.
Yeah, well, you could just like there's a page and you just download the exe, like you
Yeah.
don't mess around. So yeah, it's just an artifact, and I think it's a common artifact of Chocolatey, is that they have
Okay.
meta packages and then they have this other thing that we'll see. It's called I don't remember what it's called, but we'll take a look at that. And then parsing the output of the list is fairly simple. It's just white space. So like Choco, well, you see it here. It's just one package is installed. Oh, Chocolatey is installed. So like we've got spaces and the package names don't have spaces. And so it's just easy. It's just white space, not white space kind of stuff. So we'll go up and do the Choco version of this. And now here is the first time we've run into a nice package name. Cool. Like that's nice. We just use Putty for everything. Great. And then do we have Putty? We do. Okay, so let's uninstall it first. See if this works.
So it was installed with Winget, right?
Yeah, with
Now you're
winget.
gonna uninstall it with Chocolatey?
I guess. I don't know. We'll see if it
Cool.
works.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. So I need to do the get winget package uh select string Putty.
don't you have to convert to CSV before you can select string?
You are right. It's so funny that you have to do that because it's
Wish
not.
that I learned that already.
It's hey, I just touched some windows. Aren't you happy? Maybe, maybe not. Okay. So let's see if it works. Okay, so is it installed? It's still
That's
installed. Okay,
still
so I
installed.
think that
That's
that
like
didn't
the
quite work.
because it was installed with Winget, but you tried to remove it with Chocolatey, but
Yeah, I guess that
for
that
every other thing in Windows package management that I've seen, the information is like everywhere. I mean, it makes sense. If you flat pack or snap installed something, you wouldn't probably be able to remove it with RPM unless it was a
oh,
meta package.
that's very different. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because those are like so different.
Yeah,
They're just a totally different structure. So here's Chocolatey installing Putty.
installing putty.
Oh yeah, see, look, there's like weird stuff like program data, Chocolatey, and all kinds of fun stuff here. So
Oh
now,
man.
interestingly, like that's another difference. So, and like I said, I'm not so familiar with all this, but you notice that when I did my Windows test for Putty, like it's not there. But when I do this, it is there. So they've installed it in a different way still. Um, so that's interesting. So Choco list, and I imagine this is okay. Yeah, see here, this
Good.
is
This
this
is
portable
metable or metable
meta. Yeah, this
meta
is the meta
package,
package. This is the actual package. Um, and so we can delete it with policy.
and then that'll because you've got the force dependencies. It takes
Correct.
the putty portable with it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Uh, yeah, Putty portable. There you go.
Okay.
Choco list. It's not there. If I do Putty, it doesn't tab complete. It's not,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't exist.
Not
Okay.
there.
So that's Chocolatey. And now, like I said, Scoop also has no view of progressive features. It installs in the user directory. So you can't install uh, for all users, that kind of thing. Um, and in this case, Putty is part of this GNU on Windows, and the way I found that is Scoop search Putty. And that's another thing, like with Winget, you can do a search to find the IDs that are weird, but you can find them. Um, Same thing with Chocolate, you can do Choco search. Um, so they all have that kind of feature. And then if I do Scoop list, it's like, so in order to run Scoop, you have to install Git because it relies on Git in order to do its work. So that's kind of like a bootstrap thing. You have to say Scoop install Git, and I already did that. So then we can use Scoop to install this GNU on Windows, which ends up being a lot like the or similar somewhat to um, Chocolatey in that it's installed in like a not a place that my start menu doesn't find it, right? And then the Scoop package method is like this. Again, it's like a regular command, so it's all like really simple. Like, and this is part of the reason why I like this package method stuff is that this is all you have to write. It's kind of like this stuff appears almost boilerplate. You might have to adjust this and adjust this, but it's basically just kind of works. Um, so I should be able to run this now. And it should say it's installing. This error here is because I've disabled that platform default stuff, which as we
Gosh.
refine these things, like it'll do kind of a better deal. And then now, I don't know if I caught it here. So you can see here, there's like users Craig, Scoop, Shims, PuttyGen, and Putty exe. So it's added it in my user directory. So it's very much isolated, but I could still run it from here, but it's not here. So it's available, but
Wasn't it there?
no, it wasn't. So that's the trick. Is like it's just a link to
Oh,
install it. Yeah,
to install it. Got it.
yeah. If I click on that, it'll just go to the web,
Right.
and then we'll go to this page, and this page has not changed in like I don't know 30 years or something, 20 years. Like you just click on the exe right here.
Mhm.
Um, okay, so there's that. And then of course we can delete it. I think, I don't know, like maybe I'll just skip deleting it. Or I guess it doesn't really matter actually, because the next thing I'm going to do is even stranger. There's also this install module, which it focuses on PowerShell code. Strangely enough, there is PowerShell code for PuTTY, which does a very interesting thing, I must say. Let's try it out. It gets you PuTTY, but
Where does
and
install module is a native
it's
PowerShell
a
thing?
PowerShell command, yeah, and
Okay.
it uses this PowerShell. We can go to
PowerShell
PowerShellGallery.com.
gallery.
It's a Microsoft thing, and there's all kinds of PowerShell stuff in here. I
Okay.
can look for PuTTY, and here it is. This is the one that I installed. It contains functionality to download and extract the contents of PuTTY to the local path. So if we look at the file list and the script, it literally takes that zip file, puts it in a temp directory, pulls it down, and extracts stuff. So it doesn't really install it exactly. It gets it for you.
Places it.
Yeah. And so like it's in users Craig app data local temp. So we can go there, Craig app data local temp. And then there it is. So like it downloaded the zip file here and then it unpacked them and they're just sitting there. Like I can't run them. Well, I could run them if I do that, but if I do this, oh, I think I still have the Scoop version installed. Yeah, so Scoop, uninstall. I keep thinking it says Game of Thrones, but it's Game of Webs. I don't know. So now if I do PuTTY, okay, so the thing that is installed is a script called PuTTY that downloads the stuff and does that work. So, um, yeah, it's
So if you run that again, does
actually
it?
it just downloads it again and unarchives it again. And yeah, that's actually I forgot that. So doing this right here, the install module doesn't actually download PuTTY. It just downloads the script, and then you have to run the script to grab that stuff. But I mean, this is a good example of like this kind of falls in the realm of another package manager for Windows called NuGet, which my impression is that it's more like a NPM kind of thing, like it's for development resources.net, libraries and things like that. Again, I'm not the expert.
Isn't it? Does it do you know if it predates Chocolatey? Because like,
It
does the
does, and
whole
that's where
Chocolatey
the
new?
chocolatey name comes from,
Okay,
right? Because nougat, like
inside of
Nougat.
Chocolatey makes sense.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
So
so
clever.
there's also Windows features, which I mentioned previously that like chocolatey license version will get you programs and features. It's a server only PowerShell environment, and you can get Windows feature install uninstall. So you could probably we'll probably make a package method for that as well. Um, that could deal with things on servers. So that's
So
that's the deals.
did you develop any special feelings for any one of these Windows package methods? Do you have a favorite?
Um, let's see. Do I have a favorite? I wanna like chocolatey, but I'm pretty staunchly open source
Open source.
and kind of free,
Yeah.
which like you should pay for things that work well, and you should support projects that do a good job. So, but I'm a cheapskate, so from my own personal point of view, I wouldn't use chocolatey, but I think from like a management point of view, like business wise and stuff. Like I think chocolatey feels the most baked.
Robust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think yeah, probably chocolatey would be the choice, especially given like this like naming and ID stuff with Winget. Uh really it's tough. So I wouldn't want like with this, like I would almost feel like I could like kind of uh I know Windows and Unix are different, but there's a lot of like libraries and different utilities that are both. So, and then, obviously, uh, the whole Windows subsystem for Linux and containers and stuff like really bring into question like why you even need to, use any of this necessarily, except for just the very Windows specific things. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, and I think chocolatey would probably get my vote. Scoop looks pretty cool, but it's very kind of single user centric, kind of like Brew, which I use a lot on Mac OS. So that I probably look at using Chocolatey and Scoop, and actually that's a recommendation that I found from non-authoritative sources on the internet that it's recommended to use like Chocolatey and Scoop together.
Hmm. Get yourself a chocolatey scoop.
Exactly, a scoop of chocolatey. And you might just add a bit of nougat in the middle,
Nougat.
maybe, depending on if you are doing .NET programming.
Oh,
So,
that's
yeah.
cool.
Any
Um,
questions, or you want me to try anything? Like, yeah,
I don't know. Maybe we open it up and see if there's anybody else that is here for the live recording that has any
yeah.
questions.
You want to talk on the episode?
Let's see.
If not, we can wrap it up and go offline and hang out.
Yeah, I don't see any questions or anything in the chat.
Cool.
Cool. Well, thanks a lot, Greg. I mean, I definitely learned some more about Windows package management, and I feel like I've already spent plenty of time learning about that before. But
You want to run off and start doing your PowerShell pipes.
oh yeah, yes, I do. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I also think that yeah, I mean those are just very needed features in Windows, like a real package manager is. I can't say that I'm thinking about running Windows anytime soon, and Windows 11 does not exactly inspire energy in me.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
but I'm super happy that they're making progress on the package management side. And it
yeah.
definitely appreciate that.
Yep.
So I
Cool.
guess that's it for today. Thanks for joining us for episode 37, and we'll see you next time.